Happy, with a wide variety of guests to help you better understand the problems you're having in your own life. Whether you're depressed, poverty-stricken, suffering ill health, or confused about how to take the next step, discover products, services, and information that will enable you to grow with grace and address issues that are preventing you from happiness, health, or abundance. Go to spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk and find out what's holding you back.
Hello everyone, and you are listening to Spiritual Growth Tools on the radio, where we discuss spiritual growth, what that means, and how it can help you to move forward through the blocks that you have to health and happiness. I am your host, Caroline Nettle, and today's special guest is Erica Longdon. Welcome, Erica.
Hello, Caroline. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for asking me.
You are so welcome. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. So, to those of my listeners that don't know who Erica is, she's first and foremost a very good friend of mine. She's also a Reiki master and a teacher, an Angel Therapy Practitioner. She spent years in the television industry before turning to healing, and she's a staunch environmentalist. Erica brings her love of life to her radio show on 12listen.com. And, she's pretty much an all-round doer. I remember picking you up, Erica, after you'd walked 20 miles for Greenpeace, was that?
It was. I walked a trekathon, which is a marathon, 26 miles.
26, I apologise.
And raised money for the new Rainbow Warrior.
Good for you. What a good cause. Okay. So, basically, Erica, if you'd like to start off telling my lovely listeners a little bit about yourself, what your journey looked like, how you got to where you are today, and any obstacles you've had to overcome to become the wonderful person you are today.
Thank you. Wow, have you got 3 hours? Well, as you said, I used to be in television and radio, and going along blithely. I think I was quite spiritual and in a very loose way as a child, but I didn't really engage with it at all. I think I was aware at 11, that thing where you get afraid to go up the stairs because you think something was there. I used to just tell myself not to be stupid, but I think I was very aware of spirit, and I completely buried the whole thing all the way through my 20s and 30s. I got woken up because I trained as a therapist. I just somehow knew I was in a massive car crash for a start off. That was a slap up the side of the head from spirit because I wasn't listening. Car flew through the air, and it's true, your life goes into slow motion. I watched the sky going past, and I remember thinking, is this it? And then the whole car landed, and me and glass went everywhere. And I stood up from that car crash. I mean, the car had rolled, and I should have been injured, but I stood up, and glass from the windows just poured off me like a shower, and there wasn't a scratch on me.
Wow.
But what it did eventually was that my back, 2 years later, I didn't know, I'd been told I couldn't have any children. I was told by doctors, no, your hormones are all wrong with that treatment, you can't have children. I was pregnant. Somehow she survived that, I know not how, because I have lost 3 other pregnancies. My daughter is an absolute blessing and was so meant to be. But 2 years later, there I am with a small child. I bend down to pick up a toy, and my back went spectacularly. The standing joke, the L shape, you're not going to move, do not pass go.
Done that, ouch.
Yeah. So I went to the doctors, and of course they did the standard thing of, here are the painkillers, go and lie down, which when you're working full-time and you've got a small child is not an option. And also it kept going. It wasn't getting any better. And I'd heard of these osteopaths, but I'd never really engaged with alternative medicine. I thought, I have to do something. And I'm very blessed that where I'm living in Maidstone in Kent are both the teaching schools for osteopathy in this country, the classical and the European school. Cut a long story short, I went there and was fortunate enough not only to have a 4th-year student, because you go to the school, but also the man who I think osteopaths in this country would choose as the osteopath's osteopath. Not only is he an osteopath, he's the most amazing shaman and healer and whatever. And he not only fixed my back across the period of 9 months, but also every time I went near him, he was obviously doing emotional clearing. I mean, I would leave there absolutely blubbering. I'd be walking down the high street thinking, please, nobody notice me. I look like a wreck. But he got all the shock and all the distress out of me. And I suddenly began to realize there was more to life than I had been giving it credit for. Less of a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. There's something else out there. And I wanted to train as an osteopath, but the training is phenomenal. It's 4 years. It's quite expensive. And it wasn't an option with a small child and having to earn a living. So I trained as a masseur. And I loved it, and I just trotted along in a kind of fairly amateur way at the side of what I was doing in television. But I knew that just doing massage wasn't enough. And with due respect to all those out there, I'm not denigrating this at all. I didn't want to be a beauty massage therapist. I wanted it to be deeper than that. And I could either go the physical way of being a physiotherapist or a sports therapist. And something inside me was screaming no. And I came across the idea of Reiki. And I eventually found myself the most amazing Reiki master and did my 1-2 and my mastership. And his partner at the time was into angels. And I remember sitting there being quite puzzled and thinking, angels, are they real? I know Reiki's real because I've got it running through my hands. And I thought, I suppose they can exist. So I started to work with them, and of course, as soon as you do know, you know this, feathers start appearing everywhere.
Yes.
Coins start appearing everywhere. So I started to wake up and think, okay, we have something here. And just at that point, Doreen Virtue came to London. And I had slightly seen things about Doreen, and she was very sort of larger than life and quite commercial, I thought. And I thought, I'm not sure about this. So I went to one of her one-day seminars. Well, that was it. Having met her, no, she's not overly commercial. She has the most beautiful energy. And I was just so attracted, and I thought, this is it. I have to do this. I have to go and train to be an angel therapist. How am I going to do that? She only teaches in Hawaii. This is a small problem. Here I am in downtown Kent. But I managed to scrape the funds together to go and do my first course in 2008 in March.
Oh, that's for me, okay.
Life-changing, as you know, when you go to Angel Boot Camp. I spent 3 days blubbering, getting rid of all sorts of stuff, which you do. You can't possibly treat anybody else while you're still carting your own baggage about. But she used to do advanced courses, and I just thought, I just came away fired up thinking, I have to do this for a living. I want to do this. I'm thinking, I don't quite know enough. I need the advanced course. And the only course that she was ever going to teach again in advanced was later that year in October. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get back to Hawaii, pay for the course and pay to go back out there in the same year? Duh. Well, of course, ask and you shall receive, because in the interval, of course, somebody who should not have left me any money, I was not a blood relative, left me exactly the amount of money to get me back to Hawaii and do that course.
Ooh, that gave me goosebumps. I didn't know that. Gosh, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, the angels just said, right, that's it. You're going to do this. And I came away from that thinking, absolutely, this is what I want to do. I know enough now. I have the confidence now. I'm going to go for this. And I kind of, the two ran, I was still working in television, the two were running alongside, and then I looked through my notes one day, about a year later, and I found all the notes. I'd met someone from the 1-2 family where I work. I'd met someone from 1-2 Listen, and I don't know why, because there are lots of places I could have worked in the UK, but I was just so drawn to them. And you're supposed to have a huge background in this. I phoned them up and said, I don't suppose you'd give me an audition. And they said yes. Anyway, long story short, again, I got the job, so that's obviously where the angels wanted me. And as soon as I got my feet under the table and had done about a year and was really beginning to work and was getting confident, but a lot of it's phone work, which was very, very different, the angels kind of went, right, that's it. You're going to do this full time. And the job that I had had for 12 years, my main contract went with 4 days' notice, just wallop.
Wow.
Which was interesting. That's, are you going to walk your talk or not? So I thought, okay, you don't panic. Just what would your angels do? So that I thought, well, it is a bit unfair of them to take my job off me after 12 years with 4 days' notice. But legally, I didn't have a leg to stand on. I was freelance. So I wrote the company a very nice note and said, It's been lovely to work for you, and I have unstintingly given of my energy for 12 years. I've never let you down, and I just think it's a rather unfair way to treat me after all these years. And there was a kind of pause while everybody drew breath for a few months, and they paid me full compensation for 12 years back pay as if I'd been staff.
Wow.
So it's a message, a huge message about walk your talk. If you're going to do this, you have to ask your angels to help.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. In fact, I couldn't agree more. And I'm doing a lot of work on that on myself, actually, at the moment. But anyway, let's ask you, one of the things that obviously this radio show is called Spiritual Growth Tools on the Radio. Mm-hmm. And I think spiritual growth is such a personal thing. I'm never going to say to someone, because of your religion or your culture or your creed or whatever, your dogma, you're not growing spiritually, because I think, we all have our own path, and we've all got to find out where or how we're going to grow in grace, But what is spiritual growth for you, Erica?
Well, again, I agree with you that we are so individual. I think I put something up on the internet the other day about, I can't walk for you and I can't be you, but I'll walk alongside you when you need me. I think it's an opening up of compassion and love for me, spiritual growth. It doesn't matter what the dogma is. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are or what your circumstances are. I think it's an opening up to unconditional love, spiritual growth for me.
Yes, I think that's pretty much where I've got to. Actually, with the help of the angels, they showed me an unconditional love the like I'd never felt before, and it's quite addictive. I love doing my angel readings because you get back into that just bath of unconditional love, which I haven't encountered here on this planet yet. And it's very different, and it's non-judgmental. It's absolutely amazing. I feel very blessed that I found them. But again, like you, I think they drew me in. It was like, you're going to Hawaii, okay. But what do you think, going on from that a little bit, why do you think we come to Earth in the first place?
I think it's school. It's like, to me, and my take on it, and I've read many other people's take on it, but as far as I can figure it out, there are many universities, and it's like a school. You study in the afterlife, and you decide, I want to grow some more. I want to learn certain aspects of unconditional love and compassion. And then you agree with your guides and your angels and say, right, okay, I'm going to incarnate into this life at this point. And in this life, I will create these lessons to see how I get on applying what it is I've been learning in the afterlife.
Oh, I like that.
And when you finish, to me, there is no hell. When you finish, you pass over into the light, and you instantly, when you get people who write about the afterlife, and I've been doing a lot of research on this recently because I'm about to write a novel that incorporates it, you instantly start to review your life, literally everything, to see how it is that you've coped with the lessons that you decided to do. I think you possibly do set some, what I would call, interim term exams. When you get these huge wallops come at you and you think, what did I do to deserve that? But I think you probably agreed to them in the first place.
Yes.
And that they are tested every so often. When you're really not paying attention and gazing out of the classroom window, you do get a huge slap up the side of the head. In my case, it was a car crash. So that's my kind of take on it. I think life is a huge spiritual lesson.
Yes, because the old adage, of course, is, we're spiritual beings in a physical body.
Exactly.
So we have no choice, really, but to grow spiritually. I think even in deep unconsciousness, we're still aware that we should be doing something. You know what I mean? I think it's so much part of our blueprint. And, I always joke and say, what was I doing when I agreed to the lesson I got this time? Was I drunk or something?
Well, I must admit I spent some time wondering, what did I decide that I was going to learn this life, and have I kind of got it? But they do say that you will get a major setting, if I can put it that way, for your lesson before you're 11. And when I think about my childhood, there was one massive event that I think has impacted on every aspect of my life since, and that was my parents getting divorced.
Right.
And I think for me, the lesson was to learn to love myself, because I think the lesson of my father going, and I know now as an adult that he loved me dearly and would cry when he saw little girls in the street. But I didn't know that as a child. So to me, the message was, I'm not good enough. You didn't stay. And I think that has impacted on every single relationship when I was unaware. And I've suddenly got it and started doing an awful lot more of self-love and self-appreciation. Just as Louise Hay saying, I love myself just as I am right now, not something better or something I want to be. It's who I am right now, because it's the only place you can ever start.
Absolutely. And I'm always really aware that most people start their sentences with when I ... I
Yeah,
want to be happy. And, you know, it is very much about trying to start to be doing what you can in this moment.
Somebody posted on Facebook the other day, and it had a beautiful picture with it that I couldn't begin to replicate, but they said, there are only 2 days ever when you can do nothing. One is yesterday and the other one is tomorrow. Yes. Today, now, is when you can do something. I thought, that is so true.
That's fabulous. That is fabulous. Well, you know, using the subject of today, we are quickly coming up to that time of year. Some love it, some hate it, some put up with it, some run away from it. I'm talking, of course, about Christmas and all that that entails. And we were going to talk, Erica, weren't we, about the different festivities, I suppose, that are occurring around this time, and you know, perhaps what they mean and how you know, how I react to all of them. No, I'm kidding. But let me just tell everyone. So we will be taking calls in the second half of the show. So if you'd like to call up, both Erica and I are ATPs, that's Angel Therapy Practitioners. If you have anything you'd like to ask the angels, then do give us a call. The number is 347-327-9223. I said 347-327-9223. And like I said, that'll probably be in about 10-15 minutes time. So back to you, Erica.
Right. Well, to me, there's so much going on at this year. I'm not an expert on it, but I know tomorrow is a festival of the goddess Epona. Now, she's to do with horses. So if you're into the Wiccan calendar, you would be celebrating that. Tonight, of course, is a full moon in Gemini.
Huge full moon. It's beautiful.
So if you're at home and you find yourself that all day you've been thinking about things and can't make up your mind, or you've been trying to judge what is right and what is wrong and not coming to a decision, any of those things where we're drawn in two ways, tonight that will be particularly heightened. So if that's happening to you today, you are not alone. And apparently tomorrow the moon beautifully slides and moves on into Cancer. So tomorrow we're going to be all over emotional about it.
Decisions we made yesterday, yeah.
Exactly. So there's that joy to be going on with. But to me, there's two huge festivals at the moment. Obviously Christmas, can you miss it? It's in the shops everywhere. But to me also, it's about Yule, which was originally spelled I-U-L, I think, when it was Wiccan and pagan. And the word means wheel. And it's the wheel turning, the wheel that you get on the major arcana in tarot. It's the wheel turning, and the spokes on the wheel were the different seasons, the equinoxes and the solstice. So to me, that is an enormously important date. I mean, I will be doing both. I'm supposed to be going to a church service in the afternoon to sing my heart out, 9 festivals and mince pies and mulled wine, and then I will be celebrating the winter solstice as well by casting a Wiccan spell. And I believe the exact point of the solstice is 11 minutes past 5 on Saturday.
Okay, and it's the 21st, isn't it?
It is. Now, if you wanted to work with that energy, it's rather like working with a moon energy, because the wheel is turning, and that's where, in Wiccan terms, the sun dies, and yet in the next moment is reborn, because presumably at 12 minutes past 5, we're heading towards summer again, because the cusp. So if you have something that you wanted to let go, a habit or say goodbye to, or, I mean, as I have this year, I've lost 4 people very, very close to me, 3 of them family. It's a time for me just to commune with them and just to acknowledge that loss without sorrow, but just to acknowledge the letting go and the moving forward. So if that's something that's happened to you this year, it's actually a moment to hold hands with those you love and just acknowledge that loss and the fact that life moves forward. But also in the next moment, the sun is reborn. We're heading towards summer. So if there's something that you wanted to put out there, a wish, a desire, or something you wanted to vision board and move forward to, that's the moment to get your vision board out and start sticking things on it and light a candle of hope, a white candle.
Wow, okay.
Very, very powerful energy.
I shall surely be doing that. Yes, perhaps it would be good to talk about Christmas. Now, one of the things that confuses me about Christmas is, most people don't go to church or believe in God, and yet here we are eating far too much and drinking far too much and giving presents to people we spend most of the year not interacting with. So, I think it's the Christmas that we celebrate now is so far removed from what was supposed to have happened. But I've read lots of books that say that the story of Christmas, if you like, is an old legend of a saviour coming, being born of a virgin, all the Christmas stuff. But it's just one that goes back prehistory and goes back time and time again. And so the one, for me, I'm really not trying to offend Christians in saying this, but it's interesting to me that the legend, if you like, of Christmas can be so universally, what's the word I'm trying to say? Help me out here, Erica.
Well, it's universally understood. I actually think that it's highly unlikely that was the date. What they've done is take the legend story and tack it on to what was a pagan festival, probably.
Absolutely.
But for me, what is important amongst all the consumerism, which I try not to share too much in, is the magic of Christmas. The fact that one of the things I like about Christmas more than the presents is I love the cards, because it makes me reconnect to people that are still my friends or still acquaintances that I haven't really spoken to that much in the year. And if it weren't for Christmas, we probably would lose touch altogether, because you wouldn't make the effort for years and years, and suddenly the connection would be gone.
Yeah.
So to me, cards are magical. The receiving of cards, I put them all around my house, because somebody said to me today they put it all around their dining room. She said in a circle, because she said, I'm surrounded by love.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And for me, that's what it should be about. It's about the reconnecting. And it doesn't really matter to me that probably Christ was not born on the 25th of December. He was probably born in September. It doesn't matter. It's the putting forward of hope every year, and the putting forward of the reconnecting of love. And I don't think you have to buy expensive presents to do that. What is important is that you show those people that you're connected to them. That is the magic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, for me, who's not really a religious person and hasn't really ever been enamoured of religion, not that I would in any way ever tell anybody else not to do that. Everybody's got their own choice, but me personally, I don't. But it's interesting that how the energy that I work with the most when I'm doing my healings and readings is the Christ energy. And I find that really amusing, since I spent a lot of my life hating the church, and I didn't have a very good relationship with my parents, and therefore I transferred that onto God. I've done lots of work on it and everything, but it's really interesting, and I laugh sometimes because I was vehemently anti-religion, and here I am saying, and now I'm working with the Christ energy. But, it's where I've come to, and it's what I found works for me. And, really, again, going back to what is spiritual growth, everybody needs to find what works for them, and this is just what works for me. But yes, I do, there's lots of different festivals and religions, and one of the things I love about being British, I absolutely love it, is how multicultural we are. It's not always peace and harmony, but for the most part, I think most British people really do at least take an interest in, or if not, try and find out more about other religions, cultures. And I'm really proud of that.
I think it's a very good thing. Somebody once described, in fact it was my Reiki master, we were discussing religion, and I, like you, ran away. I mean, I was sent to a convent at one point, so you get the point about religion and dogma. So I spent ages not connecting to Jesus, because I just think, oh no, it's religion, they'll think I'm going to start making them go to church. And I mean, I have then had to go the full loop and come back to him as the most wonderful, gentle, compassionate teacher you could ever possibly wish to ask to come and work with you. But it took me a long time to get there because of dogma and religion. But my Reiki master had a wonderful way of describing it that I think was enormously helpful. He said, imagine there's this mountain, and it's kind of round, a bit like a cone, and the light at the top, the sun, is source energy, whatever you call that, whether you call it the Holy Spirit, the Great White Spirit, God, Allah, whatever you call it. And you chose, when you chose your lesson to come down here this time to learn a certain lesson. And he said, depending on where you're born, all around the points at the bottom of that mountain, and the religion or the teachings of that culture where you've chosen to be born, you'll have a different way up that mountain, and that's what you chose. And that, for me, gives me great respect for what everybody else is trying to do. And if they need a particular dogma to help them up the mountain, well, who am I to say they shouldn't have it?
Absolutely, yeah, no, that's wonderful. I really, really like that. And as someone who's travelled extensively, one of my favourite things is to discuss religion with uneducated, that's not the right way, but people who haven't had a massive education, and discuss religion with them or their particular dogma, because not to prove them wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong, but just to really find out. And I think what I've learned over the years is, at everybody's heart, at the crux of everybody's personality, we just all want to be loved. It doesn't matter how much money I've got, it's, or what family I come from, or what I do with my life. I don't feel connected if I don't have people loving me in my life in an effective way.
What I find sad is that when people take dogma and say, if you don't do it our way, you're excluded. Our way is the only way, and actually it's not, and I find that very sad because it's very divisive.
Yes, and,
there's a lot of it about, and it's very sad. And I think in this new age that we've just stepped into, more and more, I'm delighted to say, I see all that falling apart.
I genuinely hope so. I really, really hope so.
I do. I see it all the time, that people are more... The age of the guru is gone, and the age of self-responsibility and spiritual growth is on the up and up, because spiritual growth comes from taking responsibility for yourself.
And taking off the denial mask that we all wear so convincingly. I'm falling prey to this at the moment myself. I'm finally having the courage to look at what I need to do to heal this lifetime. And it's, I can't believe it's taken me all these years, but I know that everything I've done up to this point has enabled me to do that. So I think that's one of my missions in life. I feel that to help people take off the denial or just really start to take responsibility. I'd like to just perhaps go back to Christmas, because this is the last show before Christmas, just before we go to the lines to see if anybody wants, to ask the angels anything. But for me, it is a really challenging time of year. I just really struggle, I think, with, I'm very much like you, Erica. I think the planet should come first most of the time, and I struggle with all the waste and the electricity and, it's a time of excess when, really the earth is really struggling at the moment. So for me, from that stance, I do find it quite challenging. Plus, like I said, you spend a lot of time with people that you don't normally get on with because they're related to you by blood. And so I'm just thinking, if there is anyone who's listening to this and you really aren't looking forward to Christmas that much, just know that the angels really work hard to help you. So if you're not used to talking to your angels, by all means call them in and, just perhaps pray for tolerance or compassion or seeing the other person's point of view, not necessarily having to agree with it, but just knowing that they're doing the best that they can. And, knowing that you can walk away from a situation if it's not healthy for you, if it's really upsetting you. I think sometimes we feel obliged to stay around our families or friends or wherever we're going. And of course, if you've got a fantastic Christmas planned and you're really looking forward to it, I'm really, really happy for you. But for those, I will say, of us that, it's not the best time of year, just remember to keep yourself safe, but really do ask the angels. Archangel Michael would be a good one. Archangel Gabriel, communication, she would be a really good one to call in.
Ragwell would be great for a relationship.
Ragwell, yes.
And always remember, it's only one day.
You can't believe that, can you? Because it's just such a big fuss.
It is. But actually, if it's a day that you find challenging to share at home, just keep your eye on it's one day.
Yeah, that's so true.
And you can get through one day if you call in your angels.
Yes, and I just remember when I started working with the angels, I had this thing called an ego, which just kept saying to me, you're rubbish. What you're hearing is rubbish. That's rubbish. Luckily, I've done a lot of work on myself, and that's not true for me now. But sometimes with angels, you literally just have to say, please help me now. It doesn't have to be a long, I'm struggling with Uncle Roger because he keeps winking at me, and I find it really uncomfortable. Whatever it is, it's like, please help me now,
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that has come to me this year, and I absolutely hold my hand up for this, and I would share this because I think it's so important, and I give full credit. It comes from Doreen Virtue's new book, Assertiveness for Earth Angels.
Oh, I can't wait to read that, yeah.
If you have been a people pleaser, which as a Libran, hand up, I do, and have spent years trying to be nice and keep the peace at Christmas, which I'm very glad in my family I don't have to do, but I do have to do it in other situations, or I have. Her take on that, which I find quite interesting, is that if you're being a people pleaser, you're actually being quite manipulative, because it's what you're saying about the mask that you put upon. So you're manipulating people into liking you, which actually is not a very good place for anybody to be. And you can actually stop doing that very politely, but actually not do it, and say to Uncle Roger, who's winking at you, goodness, Uncle Roger, do you have something in your eye? You keep winking at me. And everybody looks at Uncle Roger, and he instantly stops doing it. You can call people on their behaviour in a totally non-aggressive way.
She must have been talking to some of the people that I studied with in the treatment centre. That's absolutely right. Because, from my point of view, what a people pleaser will do is say yes to something they don't really want to do.
Absolutely. And it's a dishonest behaviour that puts everybody, and people instinctively know that you're being dishonest, so you've already got a wrong vibration.
No, but absolutely. So I say to you, yes, Erica, I'll do that. And then I'm really resentful whilst I'm doing it because you're taking advantage of me, even though I volunteered, and nobody is grateful and all of that. But at the same time, exactly, you can feel that I'm resentful. So we used to say to people, do it for fun and for free. So what that means is, if I want to do it and I don't expect anything back from you in return, and this takes an enormous level of self-honesty, I have to be honest, in the beginning it feels really wrong, but if I can say to you, yes, Erica, I'd love to do that, and expect nothing in return, then I'm being honest.
And there's another story I would love to share from this, because I think also when you do what we do and then you go to family events, and you'll always get somebody who's, you talk to angels, you've deluded or something. You'll get somebody who'll call you, and it's a family event, and being people pleasers, we don't want to ruin the dinner, and this actually happened, it's in the book, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me quoting it, to Doreen. She was sitting at a huge dinner in the States with international psychics and all sorts of people, and there was somebody who really didn't like her, and who kept loudly saying all evening, oh, I can't be doing with people who mix with angels. And Doreen said, she blushed and she didn't want to cause a fuss. And she was sitting next door to Esther Hicks of Abraham.
Yeah.
And eventually this person said so loudly the whole table could not ignore her, oh, I can't be doing with people who are into fairies and unicorns. And Doreen sort of blushed again. And Esther Hicks just looked up, put her knife and fork down, looked straight at this person without any rancour, there was no anger, and said, well, perhaps you've not yet had the fortune to have encountered them. And there was total silence, and the psychic didn't say another word for the rest of dinner. I thought, job done.
Yes. Oh, if only I was that cool.
But I thought there's a lesson in there. If somebody's really spoiling for a fight, and that's what we were talking about at Christmas, people can really spoil for a fight, is you can very firmly stand in your power, say your piece, take them out, job done, and they'll never do it again. Next Christmas they won't do it.
No, that's true. And sometimes, a really wonderful mentor of mine once said she just looked at the man in her family who she'd had phenomenal problems with, and it got really quite nasty, and she said, isn't it about time we just said enough? And he smiled. I thought he was going to kill her, because he was really, hateful towards her, and he just smiled and said, okay. And I thought, wow, that's genius.
It's when you step out of the triangle of the war, you just, without any anger or any ego, you just say, right, enough.
Absolutely, I think it's wonderful.
A lesson for all of us this Christmas.
So now do please call in if you'd like us to speak to the angels. Like I said, the number is 347-327-9223. And until somebody does, let's talk then. So what's Christmas going to look like in your house?
Well, I have Christmas slightly done for me. I go up to Derbyshire to a little tin miner's cottage to my brother and his partner. And again, this is one of those strange twists of life, because my parents split up when I was very young, and that was my primary life lesson. I didn't know I had a brother till I was 30.
Wow.
So we didn't have all that rancour of growing up together. So actually we both now treasure that relationship very much. In fact, when we spent years being overly polite to each other, but now that's kind of adjusted. We can talk to each other on a very equal basis. So actually, Christmas is rather nice, because he is all I've got, and I'm all he's got. All the parents are now in the spirit world. So it's rather nice, Christmas, that he makes the effort and I make the effort, and his partner is lovely and always invites me up there. So Christmas looks very nice, and I'm not going to stay there a long time, because, as you say, all rammed into one small house, no matter how well you all get on, it can get a bit much, especially as I'm used to living alone, and suddenly in that very busy family environment, I find it, I really try, but I find it hard to take. I have to go out for a walk on my own every so often, because I'm just used to having a lot of personal space. Yeah. So I think if you go into that kind of environment, and you do need a lot of personal space, just be aware that you do, and offer to go and chop logs or take the dog for a walk, or something that just gives you your space to come back and enjoy your family.
Yes, because one of the things I believe about family, and, some people think this is quite controversial, but believe me, I've read a lot of books and studied a lot and looked at my own family dynamics. I genuinely believe, my family tune is reject Caroline as much as you can, and that's fine. Now that I've got here and I can see that that's what they're doing, I know that their higher selves, there's an enormous amount of love for me. Just in the human form, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to see. And I just think, going back to your analogy before, I just think we were all sitting around and, my angel said to me, your lesson this lifetime, Caroline, is to learn to absolutely stand on your own 2 feet and love yourself independently. And I think my mum and dad put their hands up and said, well, we love her enough to do that for her. And in human form, of course, it was, quite challenging, I'll say, growing up with 2 parents that, yes, didn't like me very much. Should we say that? But, I think having the interaction that I have with the angels and, all the work I've done, looking at my story and my, where I come from and what I'm supposed to be learning, I just think even if you've got a family member that's a beast and really awful to you and, really just puts you in your place all the time or, negates you or, says horrible things, on some level they're there to teach you something. And I love the expression from Ram Dass. if you think you're enlightened, go and spend some time with your family.
Yes, I saw that one.
I love that, because it's just, whether or not you love your family and you feel like you're in a great family, and they're not the people you're learning your lessons from this lifetime, or whether or not you're in a family that's really quite fractious and a difficult place to be and a challenging place to be, then know that everybody who are the protagonists in your play, they're all helping you to learn your lessons.
And it may well be, if one person in your family is picking on you, that the rest of the family don't like that happening. It's just they haven't got the guts to speak up.
Or maybe aren't aware that that's what they need to do.
Yeah, because they're waiting for you to defend yourself. But actually their sympathies and their heart may lie with you.
Mm. Yes.
It's just they're not prepared to call the bully on what they're doing.
Yes. And then there's also the word that we could introduce into this discussion, which is the victim role as well. And, some families have a victim, and it's a very, very powerful role. Oh, don't upset your mother. Oh, don't do that. It'll upset your uncle. And they're sitting there, in there, oh, poor me, it's been a dreadful year, and, and whatever it is, that's how they get your attention. The thing is, with a victim, they've got a lot of energy, and they really play strongly in family dynamics. So for me, one of the things that it was really important, I learned from two very convincing victims, actually, but for me, what was really important is, where do I play the victim? And how can I stop giving my power to that victim? So, for example, with my sister, we went through the same old conversation. And when I was with her last, I just said, Sophie, this is really boring. I'm not going to play this game anymore. You've got to make decisions for yourself. And I know that me trying to help you is not helping you. So I'm going to stop trying to do that now. And, I love you very much, but I can't play your game anymore. And I can't tell you, something completely shifted in me.
Mm.
All this energy I've been pouring into this, relationship that was really unhealthy for both of us, I think, really. So, yes, lessons aren't always easy, but sometimes we just need to really step into our power and say, okay, you're going to carry on playing your game, and that's fine. I'm just not going to have a part of it.
Mm. And it's part of the Christmas message, if you think about it, because whether it's a true birth or not, it is all about a birth and a rebirth of hope. So if you're doing that kind of work at home in your family, it's actually what part of Christmas is about.
Yes, and
it's rebirthing.
Yes, and, for me right now, I'm going through a big period of people passing over to spirit, or people trying to, end their own lives. I have a couple of people that I'm aware that are doing that at the moment. It can be a really challenging time of year, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, where I think we can suffer from, that sad disease, seasonally adjusted disease. And so, I just want to send love and light, really strong love and light, to all those that are really struggling at the moment, especially at this time of year. And through into January, because January can be a really tough time as well.
I find that harder than Christmas. It's a suddenly wallop. You come down the other side, and if you've had all sorts of expectations about the new year, you come down with a heck of a bump in the first week of January.
Yes, and then everybody's faced with their, oh, whoops, I said I was going to stop smoking, stop drinking, go to the gym every time.
I've spent too much, etc., etc.
Eaten too much, pissed off Auntie Mavis again.
Yeah, so I would say mindful how you surf through Christmas, so you don't come down the other side in January with a wallop.
I love that. And, if you are the sort of person that, oh, sugar, I just pressed the wrong button, sorry about that. If you are the sort of person that, makes lots and lots of, New Year's resolutions and everything, maybe start some of them now. Don't wait until New Year's. I'm going to be kinder to people today, and I'm going to, not go into the family situation with massive expectations that I'm going to get all my needs met. I'm going to basically just see what happens and allow it to play out as it really is, rather than me wanting lots of attention or whatever it is in your family dynamic. And to be honest, I wish you well with it, because I personally not a big fan of Christmas, as you probably guessed.
I think it's also important to take it a day at a time, to set your standards. If you do it from the Reiki point of view, the 5 tenets of Reiki all start with just for today. Don't try and make a goal that's way in the future. I must give up smoking forever. Just for today, I'm not going to smoke. Just for today, I'm not going to strangle my sister. I'm going to go out for a walk instead. Just for today, and if a day won't work, just for this hour, I shall hold myself in compassion.
Yes.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself.
And just take a bit of responsibility and say, you know what, my favourite expression is there's no such thing as try. I'm either going to or I'm not going to, but I'm not going to say I'm going to try because that's giving myself a get out of jail free card.
Yes, Yoda.
But I'm absolutely, I'm going to now try and just, proceed from this place forward with compassion in my heart for those that annoy me. Or something like that,
Well, it could be as easy as if you really can't do anything else, turn around and go out for a walk and walk away.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your way of dealing with it. It doesn't matter because in doing that you're being compassionate because you're going away to sort it out. You either speak your truth to them in a nice way or you just turn around and give yourself some personal space.
Yes. Okay. Well, we have a caller on, so I'm going to see if I can work out the technology. So let me see. I don't have a number, but what I'm going to do is just do that and see what happens. Hello? Hello? Oh, hi. Thank you for calling Spiritual Growth Tools. How can we help you?
Hi, my name is Liga.
Oh, hi, Liga.
Hi, Liga.
Hi, yeah, I've been listening to your show, and it's really good. And I just have a question, because for the angels, because for the last few weeks I've been kind of keeping low profile, just doing loads of soul searching and stuff, and I just want to know how to move forward, because at the moment I feel like I'm on kind of crossroads and not sure where really I want to go.
Great question, and I'm pretty sure you're not on your own in asking that question.
You're not with tonight's full moon, which is all about being driven in two directions. But I went to your heart chakra, and this beautiful heart opening, and as you were talking, a card flew out of the Angel Tarot, which is a Knight of Raphael. And Raphael is the heart healer.
And interestingly, I pulled a card, and it was Archangel Raphael. So obviously there's a message of that.
Yeah, you need to be working with Raphael, because I instantly, connecting to you, I went to your heart chakra, and almost your solar plexus, so the lower heart, someone who's desperately wishing to be open-hearted, but I'm feeling that you've been wounded by life, and it's a little bit tentative wanting to put your foot back in the water again. Is that how you're feeling?
I would think so, but I think it's, I might have kind of put it aside, and I'm just kind of buried it.
Okay.
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I'm seeing, Erica? It's really interesting. I'm seeing a tightrope, like over a big canyon, and for me it's over water, so that's over emotion. So I'm having to really tread carefully, but as I look down at your feet, they're really wide, so it's almost like, really easy for you to walk on what looks like quite a difficult path. So I'm going to say that what they're telling me from that is, just believe in yourself, and, there is an answer I'm hearing bubbling up like a spring in you, and you're exactly on time, as Erica said about the full moon. And I feel like just saying to you, just keep walking forwards on this tightrope with your really large feet so that you can balance really easily, and wait for the answer to come. I don't think it's very far away.
I don't think it is either. I'm just throwing some cards, and interestingly, I've got a Major Arcana card, which is always about those major cusps in life when it's time to really move forward, and it's called Decision, this card, but it's got Archangel Jophiel as well, who beautifies our life and supports us, and it's talking about an unnecessary worry based on a lack of self-confidence. You've got the most beautiful heart to move forward. And I've got it with a Knight of Ariel as well. A Knight of Ariel is a very practical knight. He takes it a step at a time. And as he takes one step, he sees the next one appear in front of him and the next one. So I think you're tightrope walking, as Caroline said, over this emotional. It's trusting yourself. That's what you need Raphael to help you with. Trust yourself and keep taking those steps forward. And as you take each step, you're going to see where the next step should be.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
You don't need to look way into the future. Just take the next step and you'll see each one come up.
Exactly. I really get that it's time to look at your feet and just walk the path. Okay, well, thank you very much for bringing.
Thank you so much.
I hope that helps you, and thank you for bringing Spiritual Growth Tools on the radio.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And I think we have time for one more caller. Very quickly. Hello? No?
Hello?
Oh, hello. Yes, hi. Thank you for calling. Who am I speaking to?
Are you speaking to me, Naina?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm... Hello. Oh, thank you so much for picking up my call.
How can I help you?
Well, I just wanted to quickly ask, since I was a teenager, I've always dreamed of being able to see my angels face to face, and at 26, it's still such a difficult experience for me to have. And I wanted to know, are some people just destined to, meet their angels face to face, and others are just, subject to just little things here and there? Is there some type of bigger mission with that? Can you shed any light on that?
It's a great question. I've never seen an angel in my life. I see them in my mind's eye sometimes, but I get them as colours. I know other people that see these huge, great big forms at the bottom of their bed. I'm intensely jealous. But I know. For me, it's a knowing. So I'm claircognizant and I'm clairsentient. What about you, Erica?
I would love to see an angel appear in front of me as a beautiful light. But of the four clairs, clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, and clairaudience, my clairvoyance is not my strongest. I'm clairaudient and I'm claircognizant. But I do say that the veil is thinning. And your version of what you see, yes, you want to see this beautiful big light with wings in front of you, but I'm certainly seeing little flashes of angel light just out of the corner of my eye, and those are as significant as seeing a huge being in front of you. So do you get anything like that, where just suddenly like a fairy light out of the corner of your eye and you think, oh, what was that? Do you get any of those?
Yeah, I get them every day. I mean, what I see is a lot of different lights and stuff, and it might sound so selfish that I already get that, but sometimes when you're in deep depression, sometimes you really do need something so physical that the mind cannot deny. And that's what I really search for in those moments. So I do see what you're talking about every day.
Yeah, well, in that case, ask your angels and say, okay, clairvoyance is not my strongest clair. Give me something that I know you're there. Use my strongest clairs.
Yeah.
Because I do that. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you do this work. There is always a little time those days when you feel a little rocky, and I just say to me, angels, please show me you're there. And they do. I will get a feather. I tell you, my biggest one ever, I was feeling really rocky, and I know we're running out of time, so I'll be quick. I was going to do a huge reading where it really mattered, and I was having a rocky day, and I said, angels, please show me you're there. And when I got to the venue, I put my cards out, and I was still saying it. And I looked across the road, and there's a huge heap of black tarmac, and on it was the biggest white feather you have ever seen in your life. No other feathers anywhere.
How I see you right now is that I've just got this huge, and I don't see angels at all, but I just know this is true. There's this angel with wings wrapped all the way around you, just really holding you. So I'm absolutely convinced that you've got the big guns with you at the moment. And one of the things that, one of the things that really helps for me is to just ask them to let me know in my heart, because my brain will never ever convince me that I'm getting it right, or, well, no, that's not so true now, but in the beginning. So just ask them to tell you in your heart that they're there, and for me it's just this huge warm glow, and okay, we are running out of time, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. I'll carry on listening to the show. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for calling Spiritual Growth Tools. Tools on the radio. Really appreciate it, and sending you lots of love.
Thank you. Bless you. Thank you.
Oh, that was lovely. Yeah, we are running to the top of the show now. So, yes, I just wanted Erica to have a chance to share with you how you can work with her if you'd like to.
Well, I do my star scopes, which are my horoscopes, is a blend of angel work and horoscopes. You'll find them on my website, angelhandsheal.com, and they're absolutely free, so go and get your star scope for this month. If you want a one-on-one reading with me, I work on a site called 12listen, and it's the numbers 12, and 12listen.com. Just look on there to see if I'm available. If I'm not there and you need me, I've got email-based services on there as well, so please use those. And some people prefer them because they get a written report that they can just read over and over and over again. So that's the easiest way to get me, is on 12listen. And we have a free gratitude board as well to lift your energy.
Yes, and I have made use of that. And if you would like to work with me, I currently have a special offer on angel readings through the whole of December. And you can find out more about that at www.yourangelreadings.com. If you download my free ebook, which is called Where's My Man? What's My Life Purpose? And other questions that angels can help me with, then you'll get onto my mail shot list, and I do a free angel reading every Sunday and post it out to my list. So that's something that you could perhaps sign up for. And of course, then there's www.spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk. Erica, I think I'm going to say thank you so very much. I've really enjoyed our chat this evening. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. You are just such a gorgeous presence.
Oh, thank you. Gosh, I'm so good at compliments. Thank you, and you too. And very much love to you, and I'll speak to you soon.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas to you. Okay. And next week we have as a guest Aaron Norton, and I'm really excited to have him on the show. He's a psychic and a medium. Because of Christmas, we're going to be doing that show on the Friday, the 27th of December at 7 p.m. instead of the regular slot, which is this Tuesday at 7 o'clock. If you subscribe to the channel, you will be kept informed of all my upcoming shows. Got some fantastic guests for the new year. I'm so very excited about that. Yes, so you can join us at 7 p.m. on the 27th, and we'll be taking lots of callers and doing some getting ready for the new year sort of guidance. So I'm very much looking forward to that. For now, though, I do want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, whatever your family circumstances are. Please do take very, very good care of yourself. I'd be delighted to connect with you on Facebook if you want to go to Spiritual Growth Tools on Facebook. And wishing you a very happy Christmas, and I will speak back on the air on the 27th. Lots of love to you.
Thank you for listening to Spiritual Growth Tools live on the radio. For more information, go to spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk.